going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of Instillment HQ. I'm Reese.
And I'm Ben.
And today, we have the amazing, the talented, the fucking beast of a man, Chris Battagli. How are you, brother?
I'm pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No, thanks for coming,
man. Thanks
Appreciate
for coming. We just had half the podcast off of air.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, there you go. It's
great conversations ahead. Yeah.
100%.
So, like, would you be able to give us, like, kind of a little bit of summary
An
of what you
overview.
do? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Who's Chris?
yeah, so 5 years ago, me and my dad, I convinced him to take like an old coffee roaster that he had out of storage, and we started roasting coffee in St. Catharines, and we had like no money, we had no commercial clients, no kind of brand at the time, so we started just banging on doors pretty much from here to Toronto. Nice. Working on getting our coffee into a few commercial venues. Right. And that slowly built into, now we have like over 70 commercial accounts. We built out an online store. And then 6 months ago, we were able to do our first like retail location. So we have a retail spot now in Port Dalhousie as well. Nice. And yeah, I mean, I can go into like each kind of step of that journey, but that's kind of in a nutshell what we did. So we work with farmers, cooperatives, and estates to ethically source coffee from around the world.
Nice.
We import it, we roast it. Supply restaurants, cafes, online, and now retail. So yeah.
We probably love all of that you just said, right? The little details and everything.
Yeah, right? I mean, like I can go deep into any coffee about like, you know, growing conditions, farmers, processing method. We can like geek out on that. But but yeah, it's been a challenge because the market here hasn't been exposed to specialty coffee for a long time.
Okay.
So we've done a lot of education, which is why like the videos came, which is why all these other kind of components came. Because we realized that people were used to seeing coffee as a commodity. And we're trying to show people that coffee's something closer to like wine or, you know, or beer now, like with the craft beer movement, moving in that direction versus just, it's just coffee.
Yeah, it's like just to wake you up. It's like, no, it's something you can enjoy and like,
exactly. Yeah.
That's unreal, man.
I fully used to be one of those people too. I was like, what the fuck? Like it all tastes the same shit.
Yeah.
Until I actually started drinking black coffee straight in university, and I was like, fuck, okay, I notice every little fucking difference in taste now. So I get it.
Yeah, black coffee will make all the difference. I'd say like the amount of people that come in that are like fucking the cream and sugar gang, and then they come in, they start drinking it black, and it's just like you see a complete like conversion of the person. They're like, oh, like, how are you brewing it? Like, let me get one of those. What about this? What about that? And like, but if you just are masking coffee with like dairy and sugar and things like that, then it's very easy to take like any coffee and make it taste like very similar, which is why there's been a lot of marketing around dark roast and things like that, because dark roasting coffee in our industry is a way of covering up very cheap crops. So that's why Starbucks, Tim Hortons, they market dark roast, because they can basically burn everything. It'll all taste the same.
Interesting.
And if people are drinking that with cream and sugar, right?
Interesting.
Wow, the more you know.
Yeah.
No,
dark
you heard
roast.
It here.
Fucking never getting dark roast again.
Dark roast is a lie. Yeah. You're being lied to. Yeah. If you're drinking dark roast, they're playing you. Especially like those brands. Like there's more developed roasts that other roasters are doing that are good. But Starbucks or Tim's, like we're talking about like properly burned coffee. Yeah.
That's interesting because I find it interesting that those brands would take something that would be seen as like a negative or a failure of burning the coffee and turning it into something like, hey, come get a dark roast.
Yeah, like it's
it's
like luxurious, it's like classy.
Yeah.
The term French roast was like kind of where dark roast came from, and that was during like there was a shortage of quality coffee coming into the country, so they developed the French roast, which was burning everything pretty much because it'll make it all taste the same. It's like if you have steaks, right? You know, you just cook the shit out of them and they start tasting the same, right? So same idea.
True.
Yeah, so that's the dark roast myth.
Interesting.
For everyone listening.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Wow. My mind's blown right now. That's so cool though how they turn the perception of it into like something that's good.
I literally just had one this morning. That's why I'm like fucked up right now. I'm like, wow, okay. Never again.
Yeah, what a lie.
Marketers ruin everything, right?
Yeah. Well, and you have some experience in marketing too, right?
Yeah. So I did my undergrad at Brock, concentrated in marketing, and then during the early stages of 416 Coffee, like we were like completely eating shit. Like we were like, so in the commercial business, you run into cash flow issues pretty quickly. What that means is that you're paying for your supplies, bags, coffee, all your bills at the factory. You're paying for that COD. And then you have commercial accounts stretching you 30 to 60 days, 90 days in some cases, right? So you have cash flow issues. Yeah, so you know how it is.
Yeah.
So on the side, I was running like a small like one-man show marketing agency doing digital marketing for like small businesses, medium-sized businesses to kind of pay the bills. And that was good because I was able to have like cash flow, and that helped us actually make the leap to opening up our own space and then pretty much fixing our cash flow issues with the new retail location. But I realized like pretty quickly that I had no interest to be in the client services industry, right? Because like dealing with...
Why is that? No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck.
No idea what that's like. Yeah.
Like, because, yeah, you just would have clients that fucking killed you. Like, they hire you to do something, and then they talk like they know exactly what they're talking about like something that they claimed they had no idea what it was. Like, they didn't know about a Facebook ad. Now they're telling you.
Yeah, welcome.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know shit about Facebook ads. And then 2 seconds later, they're telling you, like, yo, this is how we got to run this Facebook ad. It's like, what the fuck? 2 seconds
Why'd
ago.
you hire me then?
Yeah, why am I here?
Yeah.
Just fucking do it then. So, yeah.
So true.
Oh, the amount of times we've said that. Eh?
Yeah.
Here's the camera. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, it's, yeah, no. So, and we, you know, so that was a struggle. But, yeah, early on, the biggest thing was just like we were taking like our bags and we were handwriting. Like we didn't have enough money to do runs of bags. So we were like handwriting what the coffee was inside and going and try to get clients. Like rejection was like a regular occurrence. Like I remember like for one like week, I felt like I was on College Street, downtown Toronto, trying to sell fucking coffee and just like giving people samples. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll try it. And then you'd come back like 2 days later to follow up, and the bags would still be like under the cash with like now an inch of dust on them. You know what I mean?
Geez.
Like you just ate shit. And then I remember when we got our first client, it was in Burlington. This one like lady who owned an Italian restaurant like gave us a shot. It was like, yeah, we'll try your coffee. And then like 2 weeks later, something like catastrophic happened with her espresso machine. And we were fucking out anyway. So we were like, fuck. So yeah, it was just like, there was like a million deaths that like we kind of stumbled through, especially in the early days. It's just shit. So
What was like maybe one of the best lessons you learned from that time? If you could pull something out of that.
I'd say like looking back on it now, it's just like perseverance and patience are two of like the biggest things. If you think about doing something entrepreneurial and you think it's going to be like a get rich quick or you're going to be fucking Lamboing with models in a week, like it's not happening. Like it's going to take a long time. And you have to be in it for the right reasons. Like, you know, I think I was like 19 when we started the business. So you're thinking about like fucking, you know, nice cars and cool shit and going out and like your mind's in a different place, or mine was at least. And then like, you kind of realize that if you don't love the process, like you shouldn't be doing anything entrepreneurial. You should do something that like you're going to love the struggle, the process, whatever you want to call it, because that's going to happen regardless. Like the success is, who knows if the success is going to happen, but like the process is the struggle, the work that's happening no matter what. So that was probably the biggest lesson I took away, like when I was really young. And then recently there's been more like tactical lessons.
Okay.
One of the biggest ones recently was that, so if you think about like a quadrant, like a 2x2 quadrant, you think about things being consensus, non-consensus, right or wrong. Okay. So if you're consensus, meaning everyone thinks you have a good idea and you're right, you actually do have a good idea. Chances are is that area is like full of competition and that other people are going to do that or are currently doing it. Right. Now, if you're non-consensus and wrong, people think you're fucking crazy, and you are fucking crazy because you're wrong. Okay. But and if
now that it's drawn out for you,
and if you're consensus and wrong, that means everyone thinks you're wrong. You actually are wrong. You look like an idiot. But what you need to be is non-consensus and right. Like that's where opportunity lies. So what I mean by that is you have to be the organization, the company, whatever you're doing, where everyone says this will never work, and then it does, right? Because by the time then when you find product market fit, when you grow your organization, you've developed kind of like a blue ocean, an area where there's no competition. And you see this happen, like this happened big time with Airbnb. Like, I don't know if you ever listened to their founding story, but everyone thought they were fucked. Like smart money investors thought these guys were fucking idiots. And then, you know, sure enough.
Because they went from just rooms to houses, and the actual like rental of the houses created their success, right? Or am I wrong? Did I just see the top of it? Probably.
That's like part of it. So they started, originally there was like air beds in their actual apartment, right?
Yeah.
And then they sold fucking Obama O's and what was it? Captain Crunch, right? They made cereal. Did you hear about that story? Yeah. So they did that shit. They got into Y Combinator, and then, you know, and then it kind of grew from there, where they found like, there's houses, there was rooms, and then people started using the service. But a lot of people thought they were crazy. Netflix, one of the founders of Netflix, his wife actually said that'll never work. Like straight up told him about shipping DVDs in the mail. Netflix is crazy because they pivoted twice, right? Shipping DVDs in the mail was the first one, and the second one was moving on to streaming.
Right.
So, so it's about finding places like that. So, for example, with our Portaluzzi location, when we were opening it, we're like in there fucking working like 24/7, and it's summer because we're trying to open up. We had signed the lease in middle of June. We were trying to open up like as soon as possible, right? So we ended up opening up by July 12th. So as we're working though, people are walking by, right? People are asking what it is. And like the amount of people that were like, oh, you're opening up a coffee shop? Because there's like one down the street that's like an established competitor, right? And they were like, oh, good luck. Or like, are you fucking crazy? So it's like, once again, being non-consensus and doing something different that like the market hadn't seen before. So like coffee shop was the best way to articulate it, but the experience you were going to get was going to be something completely different. But I learned that it's okay if people think you're fucking nuts. Like, and it's fuel too, right? I'm sure.
Exactly. And it feels good when you prove them wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fuel is the big thing for me.
Oh, 100%.
Because then it's like, fuck you when you actually do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's I have like a mental list of like all the people that said that shit. And I fucking, you know, if you get tired, you start thinking about all the people that want to see you fail. Or that,
That's some Arya Stark vibes right there, Game of Thrones.
There you go. And it's like, rest in peace to Kobe, but he had a hit list when he was in high school, right? He talks about that, having a hit list of the people above him that he'd like fucking posterize when he was playing.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
There's a book, I can't remember the title right now, but it talks about kind of dark energy, and it uses some sports examples like Jordan, of course. Now Jordan's, we saw like, you know, that public explosion that happened during his Hall of Fame speech. So maybe negatively, but you know, you can use different things for energy at different times.
Absolutely.
In like a healthy manner.
In a healthy manner.
Not like Jordan.
What was it like kind of just like getting that first like bigger client?
I don't know if it was much of like a celebration, because I think I realized before we got close to making a move that we were in like a losing game, because I saw the way the cash flow cycles were working, right? So we were kind of in it was a two-part problem. It was either raise your prices so high that you probably become uncompetitive in the marketplace, and then you fix your cash flow issue, or we need some sort of other business, because like the B2B thing on its own was you were always going to be in this cash flow issue. So it took us way too long to figure out the solution. We knew that we needed to get a brick and mortar spot, right? We knew we needed to also I learned pretty quickly that we needed to build demand with the end customer. So for a long time, we were like out here trying to make our product appealing to like small business owners, like restaurants, cafes, but it was never going to work. We didn't have the value proposition, because most of these people are buying their coffee from like Cisco or some food provider.
Supplier,
So the truck comes in and they're throwing coffee on. There's actually one story. This was the worst thing the funniest thing ever, but we were supplying this one customer, and my dad went there to do a delivery, and he saw other coffee like beside the machine, like in the restaurant. And he's like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Like, was there a problem? The guy's like, oh, no. And he's like, well, I saw like the other coffee by the machine. And the guy was like, man, I bring your coffee home. Like, I take this home. Like, I don't care who fucking drinks this. It's just coffee. That's what he said.
Wow.
Like, so that's where people were with coffee. So immediately we were like, all right, the restaurant industry, maybe not our thing right now. Because there was like the smaller, higher end places that like were super interested in their coffee program, and those were a great fit for us. But like most of them just didn't give a shit. They were just mailing it in. Yeah, or people like delusionally say, oh yeah, our clients love our coffee, and then, you know, now those clients like come to us and complain about their coffee. But anyways, so basically what happened was we were in this cash flow issue. We knew we needed to get to opening up a retail location. So we knew that was going to take like, you know, maybe like $50,000 to $100,000 at the minimum, depending on the size of the space. So we had to figure out a way to make money that wasn't like cash flow dependent. And it took us way too long to figure this out. But we were like, what if we open up the roastery on Saturdays to the public so that people can come buy bags for their home? And we'll put together some like Facebook ads and we'll do it that way. And we'll give away free coffee to drink. Because our roasting facility, because of zoning reasons and things like that, it has to be pretty much in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
So we start doing that, and like I remember the first day, like 4 people come the first Saturday and they spend like a decent amount of money. We're like, okay, maybe we're onto something. And then the second one, like more people come. And the next thing you know, like there's people like hanging out in this industrial unit, like having coffee, buying bags. People are looking for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was kind of the first time we knew like in the Niagara region for sure there was like a need and people wanted to like come hang out and see what was going on with coffee, and people were excited about it. And then we were able, after doing that, like 6 months later, we found the place in Port, which was kind of the perfect size. It was 200 square feet. So it's like, we cannot mess this up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's so small. The rent is obviously low because we only
low
have 200 square
sure.
feet. So it's like, we can make this work to at least test it out, right? So, and that's when we took the jump. And then since then, everything's been like crazy different. Like we have so much brand presence now. So many people know who we are.
That's awesome.
And it's also cultivated like a whole group of other commercial clients now that want to like use us
because they see the regular people into you guys, right?
Yeah, they see exactly. Like end customer demand is there. So like, the whole time we were kind of, I mean, in the early days especially, I was thinking about it wrong, where I was like, how do we make this better for commercial clients? But really it was just like, if you get the end customer to demand or, you know, put value in having 416 coffee served at a place, then it solves itself. So that was huge. That was a huge like.
You basically created your own demand.
Pretty much, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Went like right to the end customer, created demand, and it helped us out like a lot. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you were kind of building that like brand presence on the actual brick and mortar stuff, you said, and you had some people come out to the actual roastery. Yeah. Right. You said the important thing there was the Facebook ads, and like, were you doing like content creation at the time too, in terms of like, you know, taking photos, videos? Because when did you start doing the videos for 416? I
started like, I had some basic like equipment to do some like basic content, like a Rode mic, like you know, like a very basic setup, but enough to like kind of get by for myself. So when we were running the roastery, I was making some content, not a lot. And basically it was just like advertising content. So we like come up with some like gimmicky shit every week to get people. Like 1 week we bought like, I forget how many dozen donuts and just gave out free donuts the whole day. Like, I don't know. It was just random shit. We gave away like, I don't know, like 10 Chemexes one day. Like every like 5th person who walked in, we gave them a Chemex. Like it was just shit like that. But so that's what we made the ads around then. And then Coffee with Chris started once we opened up the brick and mortar. People started coming in buying coffee, and a lot of people were coming in. They were having a great experience at our coffee bar when we were preparing the coffee for them. Then they'd go home and they'd buy these brewers and this and that, and they wouldn't be able to replicate the results. So I was like, shit, we need to, like, there's an education need here too. Like, so because people didn't know anything like about, people didn't know a lot about grind profile. People didn't know a lot about water temperature, like, which most people don't. It's just when you're insulated in your own like industry for a while, you're like, fucking, this is like, come on, everyone knows
regular
this.
for you, sure.
And then like you're talking to people and you're like, yeah, this is not normal. Why would anyone know this? You know what I mean? It becomes apparent very quickly. Like, why would anyone know about all this geeky coffee shit? So, so I just started making videos like to kind of distill best practices and help people brew coffee better at home. And that helped build our brand and like help sales. It helped everybody. Like they brew better coffee. We didn't have to do as much like in-store education, which was huge, because a lot of times like I'd end up like doing like demos on the side, like showing people what to do with their Chemex at home or whatever. So yeah, so that was a win-win. And that's when we started going kind of heavy with the content creation and that side.
Have you found that it's been like helping the brand at all, or is it more so just kind of like because you find some people?
It's been huge actually. So I didn't even realize this, but like, so I went out like a couple weeks ago, and like random people have been like, "Oh, coffee with Chris." Some guy.
That's amazing. That's when you know.
That's unreal.
That was so weird, and it's like it's not like we have huge viewership. Like our YouTube viewership is pretty minimal. Our videos are short enough though to go IGTV, not a native. So some of those videos we got like 1,100 views, right? Which is all right. Like, and then Facebook, we've had a few go like 700, 800, 600 views. So it's not huge, but I mean, it's big. It's like narrow, right?
That's
I think
pretty good though, man.
It is
for your niche market of like those people who really want to learn how to do it at home. Because some people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the store and get some coffee, right? But for those people who are like, how the fuck do I do this? Like those are the people. Like, and if you have 600 of those people, that's a lot of people watching your stuff, man. Like,
for sure. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like the audience, I think, is pretty focused, which is important, right? Like it's a narrow audience, so that's been huge. But yeah, it's made all the difference. Like it's been a big part of our kind of our pillars, and yeah, it's also why we've limited ourselves from day one. Like it was always the plan when we opened up the space. Like we don't serve tea. It pisses a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah. People get pissed, right? Like, but it was so a couple of weeks ago I felt better about the whole thing. Not that I was ever going to serve tea at that place, but this lady came in and she worked at David's Tea, and she's like, yeah, people come in all the time and are like, I only drink coffee, and give her shit on the other end of the spectrum. So I'm like, okay.
Like, why would you go to David's Tea to get fucking coffee then? Like,
that's like,
that's on you at that point. Like,
yeah. So like, I kind of took it that way too. I was like, you know, I have nothing against tea, but to be honest with you, it's a limitation of the place. Like if we had a bigger space, I would do like certain beverages with tea. But we have 200 square feet, so I don't have any room to store tea, brewing gear for tea. Like that place is maxed out. Yeah. So, but yeah, it did piss a lot of people off early on. We don't do drip coffee, right? So like you can't come there and get a cup of coffee in like less than, it's going to take a few minutes. So yeah, we really wanted to differentiate ourselves and focus on being like that specialty coffee spot, which meant we had to like say no to a lot of things, which I think scares people, because when you start a business, sometimes people go into like, I'm just going to do whatever they're going to do and I'm going to do it better. Right. Which is, I think never works. Like you have to do something different and you have to distinguish yourself. Whereas if you're just benchmarking yourself against your competitors all the time, you pretty much just end up like heading into a race to the bottom where you're trying to get more for less, right? So,
it's so funny that we were just talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Too. Yeah. Just like, because I mean, to relate it to our industry as well, it's like when someone comes in and says like, well, I want this type of video. It's like, well, you just saw our reel. This is what we do. And now you're asking for this over here. And it's like, but you came here to ask for that, even though we do this. So it's the same type of thing. It's just like coffee and tea, except it's like, this is the style of video we do.
Yeah.
Right? Or this is the style of photo we do. Yeah. Right. And so Ben and I were literally having this conversation about being like, hey, like we got to really start saying no to some stuff because like it's not our brand.
It's not worth our while.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys get the same thing too, where like you guys will come in and quote a job fairly, and some like psychopath will come in and quote a job for like $100.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this guy's gonna work like 90 hours to make this film.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Deal with that weekly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, oh, buddy can do it for cheaper. Great. Have fun.
Yeah.
I've actually, so it's funny now, if someone comes in and their first question to me is how much is your coffee, like at that point I think it's
already out.
Yeah.
Man, that literally happened. How cheap can we do this? It's like, what? That's not how you come into this. Like,
exactly. Well, if you want a good product, you pay. Like,
it's
that's all there is to it.
If you want something cheap, like that's fine. Like I totally like, man, I've been in financial situations. I get it, but like,
but just don't come.
I'm just not your guy.
Exactly.
I'm not your guy. That's it. Like you should probably go to like Costco maybe.
Correct.
And get some coffee.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going to Roost Chris and being, can I have a double? We don't fucking sell, or can I have a fucking McDouble? You know what I mean? Same shit. Whatever. You know what I mean? Though it's like, what the fuck? Like, no, you're getting a $300 steak or you're fucking leaving. Like,
that's it. Yeah.
What you pay for.
Yeah. And it's fine. So like, you gotta. The other thing is you can't be everything to all people. And I think like a lot of people starting businesses try to appease too many people. They're like scared of like someone saying something negative about them because of something they don't offer, they don't do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When really, I think like if you're selective, that's like the best thing you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Especially starting out, because you can't be everything. You don't have the money.
I was gonna say that's really important. I feel, especially in industries like this where there's so many different like there's coffee, but there's like, you know, how many subcategories of coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a million subcategories. Right. There's a million substitute products, right? So it's ridiculously competitive as a whole. So you have to like go out and find like space to navigate in yourself where you're not like in direct competition.
Yeah. And how did you find that for your brand? Obviously it was a process, because we were talking about this before we were on air. We were saying how everything has to be malleable, right? As a business owner and entrepreneur. So like, how did you, like, what was your process like to kind of find that?
Oh, we did so much, like, so before, like, was it 2 years ago or last year? No, it would have been 2 years ago. 2 years ago around this time, I became like obsessed with the Dollar Shave Club idea, right?
Okay.
So I like decided to come up with this subscription model that I do some rough math and we can pull off for like $10 a month and whatever. But then like, so we get it going and like there's actually a decent adoption rate. But I realized that like we are never going to make money on this unless we literally have like a few million users. like so
Oh,
I was like, this is a horrible idea. Like, so it was pretty apparent that we couldn't be like the low end provider. Like it just wasn't going to work. Like Maxwell House, Folgers, Tim Hortons, like these brands are like well established. They have supply chains, they have processes. I can't make coffee cheaper than them. So that was kind of the first thing. And then where we opened up, so we opened up in Port with the retail spot. We opened like literally 3 doors down from like a relatively established chain with like 16 locations. So if we were going to compete with them, we knew there was no point in going product for product, in the sense of like we knew that we could make a higher quality product, like just taste for taste, as far as like espresso based beverages. So that was no problem. And we did that. We take a lot of pride in what we do. And as far as like espresso, frothing milk, like some of these little tactics that in the end cup actually come out to be like a substantially different product.
Sure.
But then as far as like drip coffee went, like we just had no interest in that customer base. Like no one who's coming into our place is there for convenience. So we figured we'd let those customers, if you need coffee really fast, either A, brew it at home with our coffee, or if you got to hit a drive-through or something, like that's fine. Yeah. We don't have a drive-through. You have to park, you have to get out. Like it's a process.
Sure. Yeah.
So we like gave up that customer base, which allowed us to focus more on the customers that weren't seeking convenience. They were seeking an experience, right? So
because then you can focus more on that experience to make it even better. Right?
Exactly. So, instead of doing all things to all people. So so that was huge in us like differentiating ourselves, because like we were kind of like I don't want to say the first, just in case someone's watching and they get pissed that they were doing it, but like as far as I know, we're the only people that do made to order pour overs like exclusively in the Niagara region. So that's not a big deal, but it's just something different, right? Like it's not like anyone could do that with some basic training. It was different. Like I pull out a Chemex, I put a filter in, I pre-soak it, and people are like looking at me like I'm like doing chemistry. You know what I mean? So so that was huge, and that's been a big part of our thing. And it was a big deterrent at first. Like people were like kind of pissed, but some people were pissed. People that came in expecting the 30-second coffee experience. But that was fine. But the people that it was right for, like that's why word of mouth marketing for us has been huge. Just because we did things strategically that were shareable, whether that be like latte art being perfected really well, which no one's really doing well here.
There you go.
It's just true. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I've had a few Starbucks baristas hit some latte art, so like shout out to Starbucks. But other than that, I mean, I haven't had like a lot of like insane experience. Whereas if you go to Toronto, it's kind of like the norm. Yeah. If you go to a third wave coffee shop, you're going to get like some beautiful latte art. And then, pour over coffee was another one, like neon signs, like just stuff that was like fun, different, fun to share, something to talk about, to be like, hey, I went to this new coffee place and like, here's why it was completely different. Because it's very easy to be just another coffee place. And the other thing that we wanted to avoid, because I hate it, is like a coffee place starts off like, oh, we're gonna focus on coffee, and then next thing you know, you can go there and get a plate of fucking spaghetti and meatballs. You can get a fucking lasagna. You can get a fucking burger.
Yeah.
It's like, hold up, I thought you guys were focused on coffee, or you were focused on this like narrow thing.
Because once they get a little bit of success, they want to do everything now.
Yeah, or like some fucking idiot comes in and is like, yeah, you guys should have French fries. Like, you know how much shit you hear in a day owning a business? You guys know.
Oh, for sure.
But like, especially when you're facing people all day, like you get some dumb requests, and you just got to be polite and be like, hey, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'll talk to Carmen about it. I'll think about it. Thanks, man. But like, really, you're like, that's fucking awful. But I think some people actually, it goes to their head. They're like, yeah, you know what? I should start doing spaghetti and meatballs at the coffee place. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to be selective, and you have to really pick and choose what you do and don't do. So, like, I'd say, like, be focused. If anyone's trying to start a business, be focused and find, like, what you can be the best in the world at in, like, one category. And it doesn't have to be the whole world, but find something you can be the best in, like, your world or your, like, region in one category first. And then every product starts off as a one product company. You know, Apple didn't fucking have the iPod. Apple didn't have the fucking iPhone when it started. It was a Mac, right?
Yep.
That was it. And they built brand, and then they expanded, right? Then the iPod came. Yeah. Then the iPhone, and then now you got iPad, you got fucking
everything.
Everything. But they expanded. They built brand first on one category. And that's what I think people lose focus sometimes, and they start going in all directions. Or maybe maybe they're too early and they're not making enough money because they want it too fast in that one thing, so they fucking expand everywhere.
To see what's hitting kind of thing.
Right? But it's like, stay focused on that one thing or those two things.
And do it really well.
Do it really well. And then, like, once you cultivate that audience, once you find that thing that you want to do, then you can grow. And then once you grow, then you can expand and like taste other things. But I think in the early days, it's good to be like focused and be like one or two product company.
Sure. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's really interesting too. Even more interesting, I think, because like I think we're on that process. Yeah. Personally with Instillment right now.
Yeah, like finding the one or two things.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can speak about myself for a sec, it's like I feel like, you know, a couple of years ago, sports videos was like the thing for Instillment. Like even if you look at our client list, the first like fucking 5 are like basketball trainers or whatever, U Sport, all this kind of stuff, right? And then it's like all of a sudden, like, how many sports videos have we done in the past like year? None. The fuck happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like we were really good at this shit, and like people really liked that, and I feel like people saw it as this. So it's an interesting question that I'd like to go back and reflect on. So thank you for sharing that.
No worries. Do you guys still want to do sports videos?
I mean, they come very easy to me.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot more details underneath the surface of just saying, hey, I want to do sports videos, budget, clients.
Yeah. Is there money in sports videos? Right.
So like, that's the
question. Right. No, I don't know. I'm just asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's a whole nother conversation.
Do another podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like still business related, but more of like a deep cut. So what if you're looking back at your high school self, you went to St. Mike's, right?
Yeah.
Looking back at that kid taking like a business class in St. Mike's, what advice would you give him from a standpoint of where you are right now?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fuck, that is it. That's a deep one. I'd tell him just to be patient, because I think like with everything in life, I'm definitely the person that's impatient. Like, you want it now, you know what I mean? Which is good in the micro. Like, I'm a self-starter. I feel like I'm very motivated to do things myself. People don't have to tell me to do things, which is important. But I feel like sometimes I remember I wrote down in this book, I'm actually sad though. I'm embarrassed to admit this. I found this fucking book where I like wrote down goals, right? And I had that I was going to have $10 million by 25, but this is the crazy one. That one's crazy, but this is the crazy one. I will be a billionaire by 30 was one of them. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, that's insane. Like, I don't know what, because like,
that confidence though, man, like that and that passion. I mean,
I appreciate it, but also probably partially delusion, because like a billion, the only way you're going to make $1 billion by 30 is if like,
you're like an ultra genius type.
You'd have to hit one of the like kind of app like tech company like unicorn, and then sell it all before 30. Like even if you are like, I don't even know if, I guess Zuckerberg did it,
but that's like
it's a rare example.
And our culture's full of like telling the success stories, right? So we talk about like, you know, the same 40, 50 guys. Like we were talking about Airbnb and Netflix. And for every like Airbnb and Netflix, there's like 800 companies that fucking shit the bed, right? So yeah, we don't have a good enough conversation about the companies that don't succeed. We talk about everyone that does. And I think that's why there's kind of this boon to entrepreneurship. Like, going to business school, I remember in like fourth year, I was kind of like, so I was now well into the brick and mortar coffee game. And I had like 1 million people that were going to start the next fucking whatever app, right? Yeah. With no technical abilities. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you can't code. You know how to code? They're like, no. But like, I got this guy. I'm like, what the how the fuck, like, have you listened to any of these stories of these guys who start, like, they always have a technical co-founder,
100%.
right? If you don't have a fucking technical co-founder, you're not going to start an app company, like 99% of the time.
100%.
So, yeah, so, like,
100% of the time.
it was fucking crazy. I'd hear all these stories about apps and this and that, and, like, everyone wanted to be an entrepreneur because they heard these success stories, and they went right into, like, the ideation, and they're like, let's make the next fucking Snapchat. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like,
it's kind of funny because my question was going to be, what are your thoughts on like glorifying the entrepreneurship life? Because I feel like that's what it's come to, right? Is all these guys being like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. It's like, you have fucking no idea what that is, though.
Yeah, it's like hustle porn, right? It's because, like, hustle, you know, porn, I like that. We have everyone on these fucking on Instagram and stuff. We have everyone either posturing or living like a fake life, right? So you got some guy in like a fucking stand-up treadmill desk typing. He's like, I run a fucking fitness company. And then he's like on a jet, and then it cuts to like a Lambo, and there's a model, and it's you're like, this is entrepreneurship. This is it. I'm just gonna fucking do this fucking course. And it's like, no, this is not the fucking thing. You're probably gonna fail. Most businesses fail. Yeah, and like you're gonna be broke for a long time, even if you do succeed. Yeah. So if you're doing it for the money, if you're doing it for the end game, for like success, fame, you're in it for the wrong thing, you're probably not gonna succeed. Yeah. Like, you have to actually enjoy the process, enjoy solving interesting problems, work with people that you like, and work-life balance needs to be something that like you have a different relationship with. Because I just live, like, when people say work-life balance, I just live. Like, I don't bucket my life.
There's no separation of like...
Exactly. Yeah. You enjoy what you do, so it's not work. It's just you're living.
Yeah, I'm just living all the time. Like, I'm out with my friends, I'm living. I'm at the cafe, I'm living. I'm doing a video, I'm living. I'm here, I'm living. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's another idea that I find like bizarre, is the work-life balance thing. I don't get.
I like that perspective, though. You're always living.
You're just living. Yeah. When people are like work-life balance. Number one, if you do have an idea of work-life balance, it doesn't exist as an entrepreneur. Like, you're never not thinking about, in some capacity, the business, right? Like, it's always somewhere in what you're doing, right? So, but yeah, the glorification of entrepreneurship is just, it's those success stories that we all heard about, combined with like Instagram. And also, there's a few people that talk about this a lot, but in sports or in anything else before where you could be famous, right? There was like a litmus test that was very public, right? If I say I'm a fucking rapper, you're gonna be like, oh, spit some bars for me. If I say I play basketball, you're gonna laugh because I'm 5'7". But you know what I mean? Like, whereas anyone can say they're an entrepreneur and rent a fucking Bentley and post some pictures, and you know what I mean? And they're an entrepreneur, right? Like, who are you to say it? Whereas like everything else, there's like, it's very public that, like, are you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a professional athlete. What do you play? Like, show me what you do. Yeah. Who do you play for?
There's no process of proving that you're like...
Yeah. Oh, exactly, yeah. Entrepreneur. I run a drop shipping fucking site, and I make $8 million a week for my fucking couch. Like, you know what I mean? Those fucking shits. Yeah. Or like, I fucking do Amazon FBA. And then like, I remember some guy was telling me recently about Amazon FBA. I asked him 3 questions about it. He had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. I was like, all right.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He's like, yeah, bro, I'm balling. Yeah, fucking okay.
Yeah, sure.
Like, so. Yeah. So yeah, it's just entrepreneurship. I think has covered up a lot of like insecurity and kind of issues that people have. They need to figure out on their own, and then they posture like they're doing some sort of business where they're super successful, but it's like, it's not a real thing. But the problem is, for other people out there, or like younger people, maybe they see that and think it is real, and they think like, fuck, I had to be an entrepreneur because like, look at this, all these people are like doing their own business, selling a $5,000 ebook, and so
the like smoke and mirrors of, oh, I can do whatever I want on my own time. It's like
that's
exactly,
yeah. And then I saw
bunch of
this
people
one,
sitting around doing jack shit, and you're like, okay.
I saw this one thing. It was like entrepreneurs are the only ones that work 80 hours a week to get away from 40 hours a week working for somebody else.
That's very true.
Like, it's so true.
Yeah.
You're gonna work more. You're gonna be doing things way more than you would if you would just go to a 9 to 5.
Yeah. The other thing is like that they always talk about there's always like the typical like guy on a beach somewhere. And it's just like, I don't know, like if you sat me on a beach, I'd with like drinks for too long, I'd lose my mind. Like maybe a day, 2 days.
Yeah,
but like I gotta do shit. Like I have to be stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's also like I think people chase a lot of things that they don't actually want. Like I think if you actually put most people in those situations, like they wouldn't feel fulfilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think people need to find work that fulfills them. And then it doesn't matter really if you're making, if you're making $50,000 a year, you're making $50 million a year, it doesn't really matter. Because if you feel fulfilled, you don't really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, like at the end of the day, like a new car, like a fucking Gucci jumpsuit, whatever it is, these are all like almost temporary sugar highs. These like physical
100%.
things,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They wear off. You get it. You're like, all right, I feel fresh, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't hold any weight, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, who said it? Someone was talking about a car, and they're like, I didn't make the car though, so like I don't feel anything about it. And it's so true.
It's so true.
100%.
I like that. Yeah.
Like I didn't fucking make the car. Like sure, I
just
bought
showed
the
up
car.
at the yeah.
But like I didn't make it. If I made the car, maybe I'd feel
It'd be
something
different, a little more of a connection, maybe. Yeah.
But you can't feel proud about something that like like what's your character? What have you actually done, right? Like, and everyone sleeps by themselves, so you got to feel good about yourself when you're by yourself.
It's true.
Yeah,
I like that. Damn,
it's good. Tom Bilyeu.
Yeah.
Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory. He says that.
That's great, man. Wow, unreal. Fuck, I'm just processing all of this right now. I don't have a follow-up question.
It always happens with us. We're just sitting here listening to people, and then we're like, fuck, we start thinking about our own shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, boom.
I literally don't even know what to say now.
Yeah, like you said, you sleep by yourself, right? You have to be happy with you, and makes it like all that shit you just said is making me even think about some stuff.
The thing is just to not. I found like whenever you chase short-term money, like it usually doesn't come, and then also like you usually don't really feel good about it after. So it's for me, it's always been like I said, like solving interesting problems and finding places where I can compete, express myself, and something that allows me to play like a really long game. Like I want to play like a long time. So entrepreneurship is great for that because like I don't know, you think about a professional athlete, they're done by like their mid 30s.
Yeah.
Whereas like we got our whole life, which is great. So
yeah.
If you can find something that fulfills you that you can work on for a long time, that's gonna that'll always build on itself, then you're sad.
That's amazing. Yeah. And honestly, on that note, I think that's a wrap. Because our last question is always, what advice would you give to people? And
there you go.
There it is.
Well, sir, Chris, thank you so much.
We really appreciate it, man.
That was amazing.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much.
That was awesome.
Tune in next time for our next episode. Big thanks to Chris for being on, and we'll see you guys soon.